Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Life Project. I'm Alex, and we're very happy that you're spending part of your day with us.
And I'm Lisa. Whether you're listening at home, on your way to work, relaxing with a cup of coffee, or taking a walk outside, thank you for joining us.
Today is day 5 of our 30-day English Fluency Challenge, and we're going to talk about something that every person experiences every single day.
That's right. Today's topic is food and drinks. It may sound simple, but it is actually one of the most useful conversation topics in English.
We all eat, we all drink, we all have favorite meals, favorite snacks, and favorite restaurants. Because of that, conversations about food happen naturally almost everywhere.
You might talk about food with your family, your classmates, your coworkers, your neighbors, or even with someone you meet while traveling.
Today's episode will help you feel more comfortable having these everyday conversations in English.
As always, we'll speak naturally but clearly. Our goal is to help B1 to B2 learners become more confident while listening to real English conversations.
Don't worry if you don't understand every single word. Just relax and focus on the main ideas. Every episode helps your brain become more familiar with natural English.
Before we begin, we'd like to ask you a simple question to think about while you listen.
Here's today's question. If you could eat only one meal every weekend for the next year, what would you choose?
Don't answer too quickly. Think about it for a moment.
Maybe it's your favorite homemade meal.
Maybe it's something from your country's traditional cuisine.
Or maybe it's a dish that reminds you of childhood.
Food is interesting because it isn't only about being hungry. It is also connected to memories, family, culture, celebrations, and emotions.
Have you ever smelled something that immediately reminded you of a special moment?
I definitely have. Sometimes the smell of fresh bread reminds me of visiting my grandmother when I was young.
That's a wonderful example. Our memories and our senses often work together.
And that's one reason conversations about food can become surprisingly personal.
So, Lisa, let me ask you our first question today. Are you someone who enjoys cooking, or do you prefer eating food that someone else prepares?
That's an easy question. I enjoy cooking, although I wouldn't say I'm an expert.
Really? I didn't know that. What do you enjoy making?
I like simple meals that don't require too many ingredients. Pasta, grilled chicken, vegetable soup, and fresh salads are some of my favorites.
That sounds healthy and practical.
I think so. Cooking doesn't always have to be complicated. Sometimes a few fresh ingredients are enough to make a delicious meal.
I completely agree. Many people think good food must be expensive or difficult to prepare, but that's not always true.
Exactly. Sometimes simple recipes become the ones we make again and again.
I'm a little different. I enjoy eating much more than cooking. I can cook, but I usually look for recipes that are quick and easy.
So you're not the type of person who spends 3 hours in the kitchen.
Definitely not. After about 30 minutes, I usually start wondering if there's an easier way.
I think many of our listeners probably understand that feeling.
The good news is that you don't have to be a great cook to have interesting conversations about food.
That's true. Most conversations are about preferences, experiences, or recommendations.
For example, someone might ask, "What's your favorite food?"
Or they might ask, "What did you have for lunch today?"
They could also ask, "Do you enjoy spicy food?"
Or, "Can you recommend a good restaurant?"
These are all very common questions, especially when you meet new people.
Let's explore some useful vocabulary while we continue our conversation.
First, let's talk about the difference between meal and dish. Many English learners confuse these words.
A meal is an eating occasion, like breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
A dish is one particular type of food.
For example, dinner is a meal, but grilled fish with vegetables is a dish.
That's an easy way to remember the difference.
Another useful word is ingredient.
Ingredients are the individual foods you use to prepare a recipe.
Flour, eggs, tomatoes, onions, cheese, and olive oil are all ingredients.
Then we have the word recipe.
Recipe gives instructions that explain how to prepare a particular dish.
Today, it's easy to find recipes online, but many families still keep handwritten recipes that have been passed from one generation to another.
Those family recipes often become very special because they carry memories along with the food.
Speaking of memories, What's one meal that reminds you of your childhood?
Mine would probably be chicken soup.
Really? Why chicken soup?
Whenever I was sick, my mother made chicken soup. Even now, whenever I eat it, I immediately remember sitting at the kitchen table, wrapped in a warm blanket.
That's amazing. The taste hasn't changed, but your memories make it feel even better.
Exactly. Food can be comforting in ways that are difficult to explain.
For me, it's homemade pancakes on Sunday mornings.
Were they a family tradition?
Yes, almost every Sunday, everyone woke up a little later than usual, and someone made pancakes while the whole house smelled wonderful.
That sounds like a relaxing weekend.
It really was. Sometimes we added fresh fruit, sometimes chocolate, and sometimes just butter and honey.
Isn't it interesting that something as ordinary as breakfast can become one of our happiest memories?
I think that's because food is rarely only about eating. Most of the time, it's also about sharing time with other people.
That's a beautiful way to describe it.
And that's one reason learning food vocabulary is so valuable. You're not simply learning words, you're learning how to talk about experiences, traditions, feelings, and everyday life.
Before we continue, here's another question for everyone listening. Think about the last meal that made you smile. What made it special? Was it the food itself, or was it the people you shared it with?
Keep that question in your mind as we continue, because next we're going to talk about favorite foods, eating habits, and the different ways people enjoy meals around the world. So, now that we've talked about memories and everyday meals, let's continue by exploring our personal food preferences. This is one of the easiest ways to start a friendly conversation in English.
That's true. Almost everyone enjoys talking about their favorite food, especially when they're relaxed.
Lisa, if someone asked you to choose only one cuisine to eat for an entire month, which one would you choose?
That's a difficult decision because I enjoy trying different foods, but I think I would choose Mediterranean cuisine.
That's an interesting choice. What do you like most about it?
I like that many meals include fresh vegetables, olive oil, grilled meat or fish, and plenty of herbs. The flavors are fresh without being too heavy.
I also noticed that many Mediterranean meals are shared with family and friends.
Exactly. Eating together feels like an important part of the experience, not just the food itself.
I think that's something many cultures have in common. A meal often brings people together.
What about you, Alex? Which cuisine would you choose?
I would probably choose Japanese food.
Really? What makes it your favorite?
I enjoy the balance of flavors. Many dishes feel light but still satisfying. I also like how carefully the food is presented.
Presentation is another useful word for our listeners. It means the way food looks when it is served.
Sometimes we eat with our eyes before we even take the first bite.
That's a common expression in English. If food looks beautiful, we often expect it to taste good as well.
Of course, appearance isn't everything.
That's true. I've seen beautiful desserts that looked amazing but didn't taste very exciting.
And I've had simple homemade meals that looked ordinary but were absolutely delicious.
Speaking of taste, let's review some useful adjectives that English speakers use when talking about food.
Instead of saying everything is good, we can be much more specific.
A meal can be delicious, tasty, flavorful, fresh, creamy, crispy, juicy, sweet, sour, salty, spicy, or bitter.
Let's use them in a few natural examples.
Fresh fruit is especially refreshing on a hot summer day.
Crispy bread tastes wonderful when it's still warm from the oven.
A juicy orange contains a lot of natural juice.
Some people love spicy food because it gives every bite extra excitement.
Others prefer mild flavors because they don't enjoy too much heat.
That's another useful word, mild. Mild food has a gentle flavor and isn't very spicy.
Everyone has different preferences, and that's perfectly normal.
Speaking of preferences, are you an adventurous eater?
I think so. I enjoy trying new dishes whenever I travel.
Even if you don't know exactly what's in the dish?
Usually, yes. I believe trying local food is one of the best ways to learn about another culture.
I agree, although I admit I'm a little more careful.
Really?
Yes, before ordering something unfamiliar, I usually ask a few questions.
Like what?
I might ask what ingredients it contains, whether it's spicy, or how it's prepared.
Those are very practical questions.
They're also useful for English learners because you can use them in restaurants almost anywhere in the world.
For example, you can ask, "What do you recommend?"
Or, what's your most popular dish?
You can also ask, "Does this contain nuts?" or "Is this vegetarian?"
If you have allergies, these questions become even more important.
That's right. Being able to communicate clearly about food can help you stay safe while traveling.
Let's imagine we're visiting a new city together.
Sounds fun.
We walk through a busy street full of small restaurants.
Every place smells wonderful.
Some restaurants have long lines of customers waiting outside.
That's often a good sign.
Although not always. Sometimes people simply follow the crowd.
Good point. So, how do we decide where to eat?
I usually read the menu first.
I like to watch what other customers are eating.
That's smart. If many people are ordering the same dish, it's probably popular for a reason.
I also pay attention to how friendly the staff are.
Friendly service can make an ordinary meal much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. A warm smile and kind conversation often become part of the dining experience.
Dining is another useful word. It simply refers to the experience of eating, especially at a restaurant.
Many people think learning vocabulary means memorizing long lists of words.
But it's much easier to remember words when they're connected to real situations. That's exactly what we're trying to do in this challenge.
Instead of studying isolated vocabulary, you're hearing words naturally inside conversations.
Your brain begins connecting the vocabulary with ideas, emotions, and experiences.
That's one reason listening practice is so effective.
Now let's talk about drinks, because they are just as important as food.
Definitely. People often ask, "Would you like something to drink?"
My usual answer is water first, then coffee later in the day.
I enjoy tea, especially in the evening.
Do you have a favorite type?
Green tea and herbal tea are my favorites because they help me relax.
Coffee lovers may disagree with you.
That's perfectly fine. Everyone has their favorite morning routine.
Some people can't imagine starting the day without coffee.
Others feel happier with tea, juice, or even a fruit smoothie.
A smoothie is a thick drink made by blending fruit, vegetables, yogurt, or milk together.
They're popular because they're easy to prepare and often very refreshing.
Another common conversation topic is eating habits.
Yes, people sometimes ask, "Do you usually cook at home or eat out?"
Eating out simply means eating at a restaurant instead of cooking at home.
Personally, I enjoy cooking during the week and eating out occasionally on weekends.
I'm similar. Eating out feels more special when it isn't something you do every day.
It also gives you something to look forward to.
Exactly. Whether it's a simple cafe, a family restaurant, or a street food market, trying different places can make ordinary weekends more interesting.
And speaking of restaurants, let's continue our conversation by exploring useful English expressions for ordering food, making polite requests, and handling real-life situations that almost every English learner will experience.
So far, we've talked about our favorite foods, drinks, memories, and eating habits. Now let's imagine we're sitting together in a restaurant and using English in a real situation.
That's one of the most practical situations for English learners because ordering food is something many people experience while traveling.
Let's imagine we've just been seated at a cozy restaurant.
The server brings us the menus and asks, "Are you ready to order or would you like a few more minutes?"
That's a very common question. If you haven't decided yet, you can simply say, "We'd like a few more minutes, please."
And when you're ready, you might say, "I'd like the grilled chicken with vegetables, please."
Notice how polite and natural that sounds.
You don't need long or complicated sentences. Simple, clear English works perfectly.
You can also ask questions before ordering.
For example, "What do you recommend?"
Or, "What's today's special?"
The special is a dish the restaurant is recommending that day.
Sometimes it's made with fresh seasonal ingredients.
Another useful question is, "Could I have this without onions, please?"
Or, could I replace the fries with a salad?
Small changes like these are very common, and restaurant staff usually understand these requests.
Here's another useful expression. Could I have the bill, please?
In American English, many people also say, "Could I have the check, please?"
Both expressions are correct, depending on where you are.
Now let's move away from restaurants and talk about eating habits around the world. One thing I enjoy about traveling is discovering how differently people eat.
Me too. In some countries, dinner is eaten quite early.
While in others, people may not start dinner until 8 or 9 in the evening.
Some cultures enjoy long family meals with many conversations.
Others have quick meals because life is busy and people are always moving.
Neither way is right or wrong, they're simply different traditions.
That's something I love about learning languages.
Really? Why?
Because language helps us understand culture. When we learn how people talk about food, we also learn how they live.
That's a wonderful point. Food teaches us about history, geography, family traditions, and even the climate of a place.
Exactly. Ingredients often depend on what grows naturally in a region. That's why traditional dishes can be so unique.
Alex, if you could have dinner anywhere in the world tonight, where would you go? That's a fun question. I think I'd choose a small family-owned restaurant somewhere near the sea.
Why a small restaurant?
Because I enjoy quiet places where the food is homemade and the atmosphere feels relaxed.
I like that too. Sometimes the smallest restaurants create the biggest memories.
What about you?
I'd probably choose a place with outdoor seating, good conversation, and local food that I've never tried before.
So for you, the experience is just as important as the meal itself.
Definitely. I think good company can make almost any meal taste better.
I completely agree.
Before we finish today's episode, let's review some useful vocabulary we practiced.
Cuisine refers to the style of cooking from a particular country or region.
Ingredient means one of the foods used to prepare a dish.
Recipe is a set of instructions for cooking something.
Crispy describes food that is pleasantly crunchy.
Juicy means full of juice and moisture.
Flavorful means full of rich and enjoyable taste.
Mild describes food that isn't very spicy.
Presentation is the way food looks when it is served.
Restaurant refers to a place where you can buy food and eat.
And eating out means eating at a restaurant instead of at home.
Here's a simple challenge for you today.
After this episode, try describing your favorite meal in English.
You don't need perfect grammar.
Just answer a few simple questions.
What is the meal?
Why do you like it?
Who do you usually eat it with?
And what memories does it bring back?
Even speaking for 1 or 2 minutes is excellent practice.
The more you connect English to your real life, the more naturally you'll remember new vocabulary.
Before we say goodbye, let's return to the question we asked at the beginning of today's episode.
If you could eat only one meal every weekend for the next year, what would you choose?
Maybe your answer is different now after listening to today's conversation.
Whatever your choice is, we hope this episode has helped you feel more confident talking about food and drinks in English.
Remember that fluency doesn't come from memorizing hundreds of words overnight.
It comes from listening regularly, speaking often, making mistakes, and continuing to practice.
Every conversation you have is another step forward.
Every new word you use makes your English a little stronger.
And every day you continue this challenge, you're building confidence, one conversation at a time.
If you enjoyed today's episode, try using some of today's vocabulary in your own daily conversations, or write a few sentences in your English notebook.
We'd also love to hear from you. In the comments, tell us your favorite food, your favorite drink, and one traditional dish from your country that you think everyone should try.
It's a wonderful way to practice English while sharing something about your culture with learners from around the world.
Thank you so much for joining us for Day 5 of the 30-Day English Fluency Challenge.
We truly appreciate that you've chosen to spend this time learning English with us.
Keep listening, keep speaking, stay curious, and remember that every small step brings you closer to fluency.
We'll see you tomorrow for Day 6 with another practical conversation to help you speak English more naturally.
Until then, take care, enjoy your next meal, and keep your English growing every single day.
Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for being part of English Life Project.